Today marks the start of a new round of President Trump's tariffs going into effect this morning. New fees on imported furniture and kitchen cabinets, along with wood and timber. Critics say the tariffs, which could reach as high as 50% on some items, could take a huge toll on consumers, especially if you're renovating your house. Joining us now, Ernie Tedeschi, the director of the Economics and Budget Lab at Yale University. Ernie, these new tariffs are meant to help spur more domestic logging and furniture manufacturing right here in the U.S., but do you think that's actually going to be accomplished here?
It's highly uncertain, probably not. What we've seen from past tariffs is that they're, for the most part, ultimately passed on to the consumer. We think that the tariffs that go into effect today on things like timber, wood, furniture, like you said, would probably come to an average extra burden of $100 per year per household in America. And that would raise the burden of all the tariffs enacted to date in 2025 to $2,400 per family per year. And if the threatened 100% tariffs on China went into effect, which I'm not counting in that $2,400, that would raise it by another $1,000 on average per family. So, I mean, ultimately, what this is probably going to lead to is higher prices and, higher cost of living for American families and businesses.
Okay, so we're going to get to China in just a moment. Switching manufacturing, as we've seen example after example in the past, to the U.S. is not as easy as it seems. What are the hurdles that businesses could face if they were to try to move their manufacturing to the U.S. from overseas?
Sure. So all sorts of issues with that. I mean, one is that so much business is global now, and so businesses are not just thinking about American customers, they're thinking about global customers, and they're trying to optimize their operations to capture as many global customers as possible. In a lot of cases, even with these tariffs, labor costs are still higher in the United States. And, that's a testament to to how prosperous America is, that our wages are high enough, right, that some jobs are just so low wage that it's more economic to have them be done overseas. In a lot of cases, this argument for reshoring of jobs and things like textiles involve jobs that are so low wage that it would make America less prosperous and have lower wages overall if we tried to put more workers in that. So there are all sorts of hurdles for businesses doing that.
So despite the promises from President Trump, a new report from Goldman Sachs finds that U.S. consumers, as you mentioned at the top there, are bearing more than half of the cost of tariffs so far, as much as 55%. Does that align with what you are seeing, and what will help ease this burden? Have we seen the worst impacts yet?
Yeah, so our own analysis is pretty consistent with the Goldman Sachs analysis. We found that in June alone, that consumers were bearing between 50 to 70% of the tariffs, and then American businesses, most of the rest of the tariffs. Foreign producers don't seem to be bearing much of the tariffs at all. If foreign producers were bearing tariffs, you would see lower import prices, and we really haven't seen that on average. But look, wherever the split is, either consumers are going to see higher prices at retailers, or businesses are going to see lower profits. They're going to eat tariffs and have less money left over. And I would emphasize that businesses eating tariffs rather than passing on to the consumers is not us dodging a bullet, right? If businesses have less revenue coming in, they are less likely to hire. They are less likely to invest. Especially in the medium to long run, especially over many years. So one way or the other, America ultimately bears the cost.
We're already seeing the slump in the jobs market, too. We teased China. We'll get to it next time, I promise. Ernie Tedeschi, thank you so much. We appreciate it.